Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we are going to be, as you can see by the screen, offering up our predictions for Major 4 of the CDL 2022 season, the final major before champs for the season. Seems wild to say that here we are at the final major that we're going to see this entire season. That is just absolutely wild to think about. It seems like just yesterday we were loading into Vanguard for the first time and, watching our first online regular season matches, watching the kickoff classic all the way up until, the mid-season break that we had. That was brutal. And now all of a sudden, here we are. We are in our final tournament ahead of champs. We've got this tournament, then a little mini break, and then we've got champs, and then the season is over for Vanguard. Like I said, wild to say. If you guys do enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're on the audio platforms, be sure to drop a follow, drop a 5-star review if you're able on there. And especially, like I said, reiterate it one more time. If you guys are on YouTube, be sure to drop a sub on there, because we are, at the time of hitting recording this, we are like 4 or 5 subs away from 500. So if any of you are watching and you are not subscribed, but you continue to support and watch the videos and listen to the podcast, first of all, I greatly appreciate you. But I'd also appreciate if you hit that sub button, help us hit our goal of 500 and help us keep on growing, because I would greatly appreciate that. Don't have a lot to talk about in terms of matches and stuff from last week before we just dive in. You guys know how I like to do these prediction episodes, especially for the majors. I like to just dedicate the entire podcast pretty much to the major and just really go through, deep dive into the teams. And, that's what I like to do most of the time. On a couple things I want to address from last week. First of all, we all know that Sunday, the final day of online matches in Vanguard, almost poetic in a way that the final day of Vanguard is just full of issues with the game and online and servers, and just shows why online is just so bad compared to LAN. It was like the day starts at, I'm in Central Time, so the day starts at about 2 p.m. Central Time roughly is when the first match started. And I think we were still watching matches until like 10 p.m. It was like an 8-hour day for 3 matches, because that Royal Ravens and Gorilla series was like 4 hours long with all the delays in terms of getting into the map. And the worst part is they didn't really have issues for map 1 or 2. It was just those final 3 maps, for whatever reason, so many issues they couldn't load it in games. We've been hearing people have also been having issues with scrims. They can't get into scrims properly. It's taking forever to do that. So, Vanguard, you gotta love it. Just crazy issues with the game, so that was super unfortunate. Other big news, Optic ended up losing. They got reverse swept. They needed to win in a 3-0 or 3-1 fashion over Ultra. It looked like they were going to do so when they won the hardpoint, and then came back from 5-1 or 5-2 down in that Berlin search and destroy. I thought, oh my god, there's no way. They just iced up in that search and destroy. They're easily going to win one of these next 2 maps and qualify for winners, and then they obviously don't. Ultra ends up reverse sweeping them, and they get into winners, so Optic falls down. Kind of wild that Optics in losers. The other kind of wild thing here, if you'll see down here in losers, Gorillas, they won an event, they're down here. Optic, they won an event. Surge, they won an event. They're all down here. All 3 winners of the 3 majors this year are starting in losers bracket. That's, once again, Vanguard in a nutshell for you there. Obviously, as we look at the standings, going into this next major here, it's kind of wild, because we've got a bunch of teams at around 140 and 145 for Gorillas, and then Subliners are at 110. They're just behind, trying to knock on that door. I believe people have said Subliners need a top 3 finish at a minimum here, and they need some other teams to bow out early, which is certainly possible, especially because those teams are Røkkr and Florida are the teams that need to bow out early, and Thieves play Faze right away. They have a chance to beat Røkkr themselves right away, and then a hot breach team gets to play against Florida. So all those teams they need to lose could get knocked down into losers right away. Even a team like Ultra could be somebody they want to lose, and they play the number 1 seed London, and I believe fall down to play somebody tough in the bottom. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. A lot of champs implications for this major. For a team like New York, they maybe aren't as concerned with winning this entire major as they are with just finding that top 3, top 2 finish so they can qualify. But we're going to do what we always do. We're going to kick it off, start here in the top of the bracket in the winner side. And we've got Ravens versus Ultra. Now, this is a very, 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 very interesting match, because, first of all, it's the Battle of EU. It's Bance versus Zero, 2 of the greatest European players of all time. Something else very interesting about that matchup is I believe the head-to-head stats are 10-1. Zero is against Bance. Bance, obviously, that means he's 1-10. Don't know if that's exactly right, but I know it's something very close to that. Zero basically owns Bance on LAN. He kind of tends to dominate him. So that would be maybe something we give to the edge of London. However, these teams are also very opposite. London is a team that tends to struggle a lot in control and necessarily isn't the best search team in the world, but they are very good at hardpoint. And Ultra are kind of the opposite. They're a decent control team, nothing like crazy, but they're a very good search and destroy team, and they tend to struggle in hardpoint. So these teams kind of play each other or match up with each other very well because Ultra's strength tends to be London's weakness and vice versa. So this makes for a very interesting matchup. Makes it seem like you probably are going to see a map 5 because you'd lean London in both hardpoints and then Ultra probably in the control and definitely the search and destroy. So this matchup seems like it has a map 5 written all over it. I certainly think that could be the case. And you guys know how I tend to pick these. I tend to go with whatever team I truly do feel is the best search team. If I have it going to a map 5 and I think they can force a map 5, I'm usually always going to pick them because, if they're the better search team, odds are they're going to win the map 5. However, I just have a feeling that this London team is poised to win this match. For that reason, I'm going to go London in a 3-2 fashion. I know that kind of goes against my normal philosophy, but you can't always go with the exact same philosophy. I don't know why I think London are going to ice up. I think Zero tends to, beat Bance on land. Like I said, I think London's going to be able to ice up. I think they're going to win this one 3-2 over Ultra. However, I do think this is a very toss-up series. I know Alfie, if you're listening, Alfie on Twitter, he's a big London fan, a big EU COD fan, so this is probably his worst nightmare to see these two teams play in the first round because they're probably the two teams he wants to see win, so one of them has to go to losers. But, he's a big London supporter, and I know, maybe he would say that they're going to make a deep run in this tournament. I believe I saw Twitter, he actually picked London to lose in the final 5-4 to Faze, which, stay tuned, that might be something close to how I have my final, or close to the two teams I might have in my final, or what I'm leading towards. But man, I don't know. I just think London are finally going to show some ice in a search and destroy in a map 5 and get this win. I don't necessarily feel super confident in it, but I do think they're going to win this series, and I like the prospect of it going 5 because I said tend to favor Ultra and maybe the control and the search, and then you tend to favor London in the hard points. The one thing I will say is if London is able to take a control, I feel like this series goes to a 3-1. I think London's going to be able to win both hard points regardless. I just think it's a matter if they can steal one of those searches or the control. And I think they do. I think they steal that map 5, and it goes 3-2 London. Going to the next match, we've got Thieves, Faze. Thieves with a tough draw here, especially because of the position they're in. They are all but locked into champs. They are definitely not locked in. They could very easily fall out. I believe they're like at 140. Yeah, 140. And, they're very much in danger of missing out. And every time we've seen Faze play Thieves, they've completely outclassed them. I think that's going to be the case here as well. I don't want to spend as much time in the series. Definitely picking Faze to win. And I think I'm going to go in a 3-0. I always say it. These have to happen. And I think this is the series where I pick it because every time we've seen them play, it's been domination. Faze has overall looked better in the respawns, although recently I do believe Thieves won 2 hard points against them. They for sure won 1 hard point because I know they lost both searches in a very historic 12-0 fashion in total round count, 6-0, 6-0. And even in the series they played them before that, they lost 6-0. So that was 18 straight round losses. Faze completely has their number in search, so I expect them to win that. I believe Faze would be the better control team as well, so I have them winning that, and I just tend to lean towards Faze in a hardpoint over Thieves, so I feel like this has a Faze 3-0 written all over it. Could see a world where maybe Thieves are able to take a map or something, take one of the respawns, but I find it very hard to pick them in the series overall because of how dominant we've seen Faze in search over them, so even if this series were to somehow get pushed 5, like their recent series did, I still have to lean Faze until Thieves prove that they can even somewhat remotely hang with Faze in a search and destroy. So going Faze 3-0. Down into the bottom side of winners, man, this is weird to have no Seattle, no Optic up here because, Seattle defending champs, Optic been a staple up here as a top seed, so very odd. But down here we've got Subliners, Røkkr, another two teams who this tournament is absolutely crucial for. And I keep saying that, I know, but really the only teams that this tournament doesn't matter so much for are London, Faze, Optic, because they're all pretty much locked in. Everybody else, not necessarily locked in. Surge are pretty well locked in, but, maybe if they lose first round, some wild things could happen. But, those teams are pretty much locked in. But this whole group down here, Boston's pretty much locked in, but not necessarily. But this is an interesting little cluster of teams down here. New York versus Røkkr, obviously crucial for New York because they need to finish top 3 or better. and you can't exactly, lose in the first round and put yourself in losers. That's not a good way to start a top 3 finish. That makes it a lot harder for them. And they do have a very winnable match here. Røkkr, a team that has tended to look a lot better online this year. They have a majority of their points, which I thought that was something interesting. Hecz said is how many of these points, really besides like Faze and I believe LAG, like most of these teams have more points online than they do on LAN. Granted, that's because they play a lot more matches online, but Wild Røkkr is one of those teams that has like, I think it was like 120 of their 140 are online points. They've only won like 2 LAN matches. New York, all of their points are also online. They haven't won a single match at a LAN, so matchup of the onliners here, maybe, who knows. This match could have a little bit of an asterisk on it, though. Like, we have to remember that because Hydra could technically not be playing. We haven't heard anything to like rumor that like he may not be playing like officially, but he did test positive for COVID just a few days ago. This is being recorded on Tuesday night. Not sure if it's going to go up Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, but this is being recorded Tuesday night. And as of now, we haven't really heard much updates on Hydra, but the tournament does start on Thursday. They do play on Thursday. He would obviously have to have a negative test to get into the venue, I believe. And he did test positive recently. Who knows how long he's had COVID? Like, we don't know. That could have been a few days after he told us. Obviously, don't know. Don't want to speculate too much on that, but there could be an asterisk on this match, so this could change the entire tournament. If Hydra's not playing, I'm picking Røkkr, but we're going to go forward and assume Hydra's playing. And for that standpoint, I'm going to pick Subliners, and I'm going to do it in a 3-1 fashion. I really do like this Subliners team. I've said it. I liked them last tournament. I picked them to go to the grand finals in the last tournament, and they flopped out and made me look like an idiot finishing top 12, but I did pick them to win last tournament. They've only developed from there and looked even better. I really think they might have a chance to make that run to top 3, and I really hope they do because I just flat out think they are definitely a top 8, definitely a top 6 team right now, so to not see them at champs would be very disappointing because that would mean we don't have the best 8 teams there, and I know, some people might say that's kind of dumb that we don't have the best 8 teams if Subliners don't make it, but hey, you know what? If they end up bottoming out at another LAN and finish with 3 dead lasts and like a top 8 or something and they don't make it, you know what? I guess that's part of this format. They don't deserve to make it if they perform that poorly all season. So, while it is tough, I guess it is part of the format, and it does make sense that if they just flop all year and don't gain like any points on LAN, they shouldn't be at the final LAN. I get that standpoint, but I really hope they do make the run because they're a very good team right now, and I think they'd be a contender at champs and could shake things up. But I'm going 3-1. I just don't know that I see the Røkkr able to pull this one out. Down to the bottom, it's Breach versus Mutineers. Man, if you guys have been listening the past few weeks, I've talked about it, so I don't want to dive too deep into it. But if you're a newer listener, this is a very funny match because I've said it a few times, so like I said, don't want to go into it too much. But these are the two teams, no matter what I pick, whatever I pick in the series, they do the opposite. So if I pick Breach to win, they always lose. If I pick Florida to win, they always lose. If I pick them to lose, they're guaranteed to win. So just flip whatever I do in this series unless like they reverse the curse. And right now, Florida haven't looked great. Boston have honestly looked very good. So maybe this is finally the time that I'm able to pick Boston with some confidence, which is what I'm going to do here, shocker. Florida tends to look better on LAN, although that was with their old roster, with Dave Patty and with Vivid in it. Now Vivid obviously in Boston. That's a revenge game for him. I'm going to give this one to Boston. I'm just trying to decide between 1 map or 2 for Florida. I think I like 2 maps for Florida because, I don't know. Actually, I'm going to go 1 map for Florida. They tend to not force a lot of game 5s. Skies on LAN has been a different animal. Florida has looked very good on LAN, so this is a tough pick. I think a lot of people are very confident and are going to pick a lot of 3-0s or a dominant 3-1. I'm thinking more of a close 3-1, potentially a 3-2 here for the side of Boston because Florida has looked better on LAN overall. They've played a lot of very tight series. Skies has looked like a beast on LAN. The only thing that makes me hesitant and maybe gives them 1 map is, wait a minute, they have Major Maniac. 2 maps. Sorry, forgot about that guy. He's going to ice up, give him 2 maps. I was about to say, I haven't really seen too real on LAN. Maybe he doesn't perform as well or has an off event. But that doesn't happen too often. I think he'll at least perform fine. I think Skies will be a beast again. I think Big Wake will get his kills. Who knows if he'll have a ton of impact, but he'll get his kills. And Major Maniac, he's so icy. He just always tends to force his team into a situation where they have a chance to win. So I do think he'll force him at 5, the Major Maniac factor. But Boston is just the better team right now. Even though I tend to be a person that doesn't have a ton of faith in them, they are just playing very good Call of Duty right now. So gotta lean Boston in a 3-2. Down to the losers bracket. We've got Ultra, Gorillas, Thieves, Legion, Røkkr, Optic, and Florida Surge. Some interesting matches down here and some very crucial ones. Namely this Toronto versus Gorilla series here at the bottom. Ultra a little bit more safely in champs because they do have a little lead in the point standings, but not anything crazy. If they were to get double first rounded, they're certainly not out of the woods. And then Gorillas at 145, like barely squeaking in 5 points ahead of a couple teams. Like they need this win. They definitely can't get double first rounded or they're probably done for. However, I do think they're going to get double first rounded here. I like Ultra. I'm going to go with another 3-2, 3-1. Let's go 3-1. Actually, no, we're going to go 3-2 again. I know I keep changing my mind, but I'm kind of thinking about it this way. I actually do like the Gorillas Search and Destroy. I think there's a potential they could win the map too. I also don't hate the Gorillas in Respawn, so I do think they have a potential to win the hardpoints, especially with Ultra, not being the best hardpoint team. I think there's a lot of potential for Gorillas to win maps here. I think the control is kind of a toss-up, so for that reason, I'm going to go 3-2, but I'm going to go back to my old philosophy and say that I do trust Ultra a little more in Search and to clutch up, and for that reason, I go Ultra in a map 5, but I think that this is a very toss-up series. Like, I think all 5 maps, I like Gorillas. I don't love them in any game mode, which is the reason that I have them getting double first rounded, but I think they're an okay hardpoint team that can beat anybody at the right day with the talent they have. Same thing with Search. I think they're an okay Search team. I think Spart's a good Search and Destroy player. I think Neptune can be at times. Slasher can be. Like, these are all guys that are talented Search players. Control can be a very toss-up game mode, especially in Vanguard, and then obviously we go back to hardpoint Search, so I do think they have the potential to beat anybody at any given time. It's just, can they string it all together in one series? I'm not sure if they can, and I like Ultra more in Search, and I like their clutch factor. So I go with Ultra 3-2. Next match, we've got Thieves Legion. This might shock people, but I know like it's weird because I've been doing so many 3-2s, which is obviously usually not the case in the way things go. But I kind of want to go 3-2 in this one again. To the side of Thieves, obviously, probably not going to pick Paris, but Paris has had a lot of 3-2s. I believe, at least 3 of their matches with that new roster in the online qualifiers went to a map 5, and they lost them all, They went 0-5, but they were forcing a ton of map 5s, and I actually think that Johnny showed a lot of talent. I know Johnny, people have said, has played a lot better online than on LAN, so we'll have to see that. But Johnny, has played very well. He's looked pretty good online. He showed flashes. Jimbo has also shown flashes. Gravity has looked to be, steadily getting a little better. He's shown some good flashes. And then there's Temp, who's been good all year. I feel like they're young players, and including Gravity in that. Gravity, Johnny, Jimbo, they all have a lot to prove because, they had a terrible year on Paris, as a team. Individually, Jimbo's stats weren't the best. Johnny's barely been in. Gravity has, I feel like, earned a lot of respect over the years, but, he hasn't had anything crazy, like nothing that guarantees a spot in the league. I feel like all those players are going to want to go out with a bang and put up some big numbers to, leave somewhat of a good memory in people's minds of who they are and not just all negative because they're on Paris. I think they're going to fight very hard. They forced a lot of map 5s, and Thieves are definitely not a team who's prone to getting a map 5 forced on them by a lesser team because they're certainly not the most consistently strong team either. So going to go Thieves here because I feel like it's odd to pick Paris, but going to go 3-2 and say it's going to be close. Bottom of the elimination bracket. Really, this is 2 teams in Minnesota and Florida that need wins to keep their chances at champs alive. A team like Optic already locked in, and then Surge, relatively locked in. However, I don't know. I think that Optic's going to help open the door here for New York. Minnesota is one of those teams that they need to be eliminated early on to make it easier to catch up. And if Minnesota were to get eliminated here, that'd be huge for Subliners because that would obviously mean Minnesota gains 0 points here. I think Optic wins this one in a 3-1 fashion. I think maybe Minnesota takes the control or the search. I think Optic probably takes both hard points, although with Optic right now, you don't know. This is a very, very possible loss for Optic. They could lose here. I wouldn't be shocked because they just flat out haven't looked great this stage. I think they're still figuring things out with Illy. I do think Optic somewhat figures it out this tournament with Illy and makes a little run. I don't know that I'm going to be having them make it all the way to Sunday. Not fully sure yet. I could maybe see them losing in this next match on Saturday because Florida has their number on LAN and Surge is very good. So I could see them losing this next match, but I think they're going to maybe hit their stride a little bit ahead of champs. And Røkkr, they do seem to be better online. It kills me because I do think Røkkr are a team I'd like to see at champs, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to get the job done. They get a tough draw here with a hot Subliners team and Optic, who, even when not hot, we know they're a good team. Then we've got Surge, Mutineers down here on the bottom. I like the Surge in this one. I like another 3-1. I know it's tough because, Florida does tend to get better on land, and these are two teams that I think are both probably better than bottom 4 teams. I think they're both probably, I know for sure, I think Surge are in the top 8. I do think Florida's like the fringe of that top 8. I don't know that they're bottom 4. They do look pretty good. Major Maniac's tough to double first round because he always finds a way to win, but Surge are the defending champs. I feel like I got to have them winning a match. So I go Surge 3-1 here. Don't feel super confident, which this is crazy. 2 major winners down here. We've got LA Gorillas getting eliminated in Elimination Round 1, and then we've got Optic and Surge, the other 2 major winners, playing in Elimination Round 2 to see who goes home. So we're only going to have 1 major champion standing potentially by the end of Elimination Round 2, and maybe could have 0 if they all end up getting beat in the first round of elimination, which is certainly possible. Ultra could definitely beat Gorillas, Minnesota can definitely beat Optic, and Florida can definitely beat Surge. Gonna finish up these 2 loser bracket matches before we go back to winners. We've got Ultra Thieves. This is another very tough one. Thieves obviously a little more desperate for the points here, and a door would be wide open for them if Minnesota and Florida are to get eliminated. Oh, it's another one of those weird situations like the Ultra Ravens match. I like fully trust Ultra more in Search, and I fully trust Thieves more in Hardpoint, and the control is more of a toss-up. I think I like Ultra in the control more, though. I think I'm going to go 3-2 and say Ultra, put together a little run. You guys know I always tend to have a little more faith in Ultra than I probably should. I do think they are a team that gets better on land. I think their veteran experience and their amount of time playing together, I mean, they didn't have a full year technically last year, but with Insight joining the team, he joined pretty early on, and then this year, they've been together the whole year. So this is a team that's played together a lot. It's kind of down to the wire here. They need to make a good run to end the year. Need to make sure they qualify for champs. I think they take out Thieves here, and I think this could be a grueler series. I think Thieves definitely have the ability to win it. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be easier for Ultra to steal a hardpoint or take the control than it is for Thieves to steal a search off them. So I go 3-2 Ultra here. Bottom side of elimination bracket. Oh, it's a brutal one. Optic versus Surge. 2 teams that at points we have said are the best team in the game. Following Major 3, we thought, before Seattle struggled in the qualifiers, we were saying, Seattle could be the best team in the game. Obviously, after Major 1 and for a pretty extended period of time there, we were saying for sure Optic was the best team in the game for a while there. And now here they are both in losers. They both struggled mightily. We know the talent is still there. These are 2 teams that I still think can win champs. Yes, I think both of these teams can win champs. I think they'll both be there for sure. Obviously, Optic isn't Surge. It would take some wild thing to happen for them not to be. I think they're both at champs. I think they're both probably going to finish top 4 there unless the seeding is really weird and they have to play each other early or something to knock each other down. But I think these are both still top 4 talent teams. Don't know that they're the top 4 teams now, obviously, that they're in losers, but I think they both still have top 4 talent. I like Optic to make a run here a little more, though. I'm going to go 3-2. I think Optic reverse their ice issues. I think they do ice up here and end up winning in a 3-2 fashion. I'm picking way too many 3-2s here. This bracket's going to look really stupid in the long run. It's not going to go 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. It's way too many, but man, a lot of these series seem really tight, and it's Vanguard. You just never know who to pick. It's so day-to-day, but I like Optic 3-2 here. I just think they're going to bounce back for Surge. I think Surge tend to struggle a little bit. Obviously, last land, they really, really picked it up and won the whole damn thing. I just like Optic to make a run here with Illy. I still think that best team in the game potential is in them. Clearly, they aren't the best team in the game right now, but I think it's still there. I think they're going to find a piece of that. I don't know how much further their run makes it from here. I might have them losing this match. I don't know how far they go from here, but I like them to at least make a bit of a bounce back and kind of get things going and rolling a little bit here ahead of champs. But I'm not counting Surge out by any means. Going back up to the top here in winners round 2, we've got Ravens Faze. This is a tougher match than I think we would have initially thought. I feel like it's going to just come down to the hard points in this one, in my opinion. I feel like I kind of tend to favor Faze in the... I don't know. I tend to favor them in the searches, but they've also shown flashes of being very bad, but looked a little better lately. So I tend to favor Faze a little bit in the search. I tend to favor them a little bit in the control as well because Ravens have struggled there. I think maybe I favor Ravens in the hard points a little bit, but I think they're very toss-up. To me, I lean Faze with the control, so I give them one map there. And I lean Faze in the searches, so I'd probably give them 2 maps there. However, I think Ravens are very good at hardpoints. I think that's a toss-up. I think if Ravens want to win this series, their recipe is probably winning 2 hardpoints and a map 5. That's what I would think. However, I think that Faze are actually going to get... I think Faze are going to, maybe drop the opening hardpoint, then I think they're going to win 3 straight maps. I think they're going to take out the search, beat them in the control, have a lot of momentum, carry the momentum, and they're going to win in a map 4 hardpoint and close them out. I think they'll close out the Ravens in a 3-1 fashion. I think this is a very tight series, though. I think this also has potential to be one of the best series because I think this is going to be some great hardpoint. Search and destroy and control might not be as high quality, but I think this is going to be a great couple hardpoints to watch. I really hope this series isn't a sweep either way because I'd love to see 2 hardpoints from these 2 teams that I think could potentially be some of the best teams in the game at hardpoint. But I go Faze 3-1 there. Down to the other winners bracket match, we've got Subliners, Breach. Subliners, even with their poor roster this year, have tended to have Breach's number. I don't know if that continues here because Breach have looked very good. However, I like the story of New York winning, or not winning the major, but making it to top 3. And I do still think they're the better team than Breach right now, although I don't feel nearly as confident as I feel like I should. Gonna go with a 3-1 here as well. I like Breach to win the search and destroy, but I like Subliners to take 3 respawns. Another team, Subliners are in that conversation for best hardpoint team. They go 4-1. The qualifiers kind of do what they need to. It would have been obviously very nice to go 5-0, but almost a blessing in disguise maybe that they don't because I feel like they got the easier bracket down here. Breach are definitely a good team, but I feel like you'd rather be playing Breach in round 2 than Faze because that wouldn't be fun. But I like them over Breach, but I definitely, if you guys can tell by my voice, don't feel confident in this pick because Breach have looked a lot better lately. However, I do think Breach would get bullied by Faze still in winners final, so I kind of hope it doesn't go that way because I think Subliners can go toe-to-toe with them in the respawns, but I'm going Subliners 3-1 here, although I don't feel confident, and I do like Boston's chances falling to losers to continue to make a run. Then we go down here into the bottom section of the bracket. Elimination round 3, got Breach, Ultra. I just talked about how much I like Breach. I don't feel super confident in Ultra beating Thieves. I feel like this is kind of where the road ends for whatever team wins that Ultra Thieves match. So I think Boston does take them out. I don't know. I haven't picked enough of them, so I'm going to go bold and say 3-0. I don't really feel great about that, but I do feel like I favor Boston in the hardpoint and the control of this series. And I like the way they look in search. I think they're still maybe a top 5 search team, top half of the league search team for sure. So I think they could take them out, and I think maybe that just carries the momentum, and they 3-0. So I'll go Boston 3-0. I like that, I guess. Don't feel great about it, but I got to start picking some 3-0s. And we go Boston here. Like I said, think they can make a run in losers, so I'm going to move them on. Going on to Elimination Round 3, the other one of it, London, Optic. Kind of like I said, Ultra would lose this. I think whatever team wins Optic and Surge in that Elimination Round 2, I think their road ends here. I think our team from winners gets another win. I'm going to go Ravens in a 3-2 fashion. I do maybe tend to favor Optic in the search. I just think, Ravens are a very good team right now. I think they're finally ready to make another good run on land that we haven't really seen since the first major of the year when they had a nice run to, I believe it was top 3. And I think they win this one. I definitely can see a world where Optic wins, and if they do, I think that's when we get in the territory of starting to talk about Optic potentially making a run to finals or something. Because I do think if they played Breach, I would probably take Optic in that one, even though we saw Breach beat them 3-2. In the qualifiers, I would say a hot Optic team I would probably take over Breach. I just think the Ravens have looked too good this stage. I think it's hard to discount it. Granted, we have seen them look very good online at certain points and maybe look a little more shaky on land, but I just like the way that this Ravens team is looking right now, and I don't love the way Optic's looking, so based on recent form, I feel like I've got to go with a safer pick of Ravens. Obviously, I think Optic, with this talent, they'll always have upset potential. It's like Faze if they're struggling, or even that Surge team that they're struggling. They always have the talent to, just make a run to top 3 at any point, but just like the way London's looking recently, so I go with them 3-2. All right, let's do the Elimination Round 4 here. Got Breach Ravens. Where do I go here? Oh man, this is a battle to me. This is maybe a series that I looked at it a couple weeks ago and I'd be like, ugh, I don't want to see this series. But now Breach have been hot recently. They look very good. Got London looking a lot better. It's 2 teams that, in the beginning of the year, I really wanted to have a lot of faith in the Ravens, and I did, and I really talked about it big time with Kyle, and I was riding for the Ravens all year, and then they kind of started to disappoint a little bit, and I was maybe looking like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And now, again, they've hit back into form. They look very good. And I was kind of a breach hater all year. I was kind of like, they've had some good placements, but are they really that good? They need a roster change. And I definitely was right about that. I was clearly wrong. I said that I thought maybe they should have kept Cap over Nero. Clearly wrong. That's my bad, Nero. Sorry for slandering your name a little bit there. I was clearly wrong with that, but I wasn't wrong with the fact that I said all year that I believe Boston needed a roster change to hit a new level, and I believe overall they've hit a new level from where they've been this whole year, so I was definitely right about Boston needing that change, and I had been saying it since really after Stage 1. But I still like London here. I like them in a 3-1. I think I favor them in both hardpoints still, and then I think they'll find a way to win either the Search or the Control, although I like Boston in Control over them, and I do like Boston in Search. I just think London will find a way to squeak out one of those maps, but I definitely see the path to victory for Boston here again. I think it could be through the Controls and the Searches. I think it could be a Neslo, a 2-3-5 situation where they're able to win both Searches and a Control. I think this is a very, very tight match. Could see it going either way, but I just like the way London's playing right now, and I'm going to put my faith in them and say that they're going to make it to the top 3. All right. Going up in here to the top, we've got Winners Finals, Faze, Subliners. I think this might be my Winners Finals last bracket, and obviously did not work out with Subliners getting double first rounded. I don't know. I just have a feeling. I also feel really, really, really good about this tournament. I've mentioned it on Twitter before. When Kyle and I did our bowl predictions before the season even started, I said 4 different teams will win a major this year. Not a single team will repeat. Feeling really good about that right now because obviously Gorillas, don't think they're going to repeat. Optic and Surge, I think they have a talent to repeat, but with both of them being in losers bracket, I don't think there's a good chance. Then up in winners bracket, we've got hot teams like Subliners and Breach, I think have a chance to win. We've got Faze, who obviously always has a chance. We've got London, and all those teams haven't won, so I'm feeling very good about my chances to have that prediction come true. And for some reason, I just have a feeling that this is potentially Faze's tournament. I think they make their 4th grand finals. Think they come out. I think they smoke Subliners. 3-0 in winners finals. Faze tend to do that a lot. Seems like in a lot of winners finals, they come out with so much energy and just smoke, steamroll whoever they're playing. Excuse me. They tend to steamroll whoever they're playing, and I think that's going to happen here. I think they're going to 3-0 Subliners down into the losers bracket to face London, where I think London double eliminates them out of Sunday. I think this one's a closer one. I think it's 3-2. However, I believe with the way things shake out, I still think Subliners, that 3rd place finish qualifies them for champs based on Florida getting double first rounded, Minnesota getting double first rounded, and then LAG getting eliminated right away, and then Thieves only winning 1 match. I believe that still qualifies Subliners from where we have them, so that's good. But I think right now, I want to put my faith in London. I know it's wild because we haven't really seen anything to justify London since the early online matches and then the stage 1 land, but since then they've been nothing, and then these online matches, it might be premature, but it's that same roster that they had in stage 1. They took a little break with Gizmo and his family issues he was having, took a little break from that roster, but they're back. I like them. Don't necessarily feel super confident. This is such an odd little grouping here with London, Breach, and Subliners. London had been struggling for some time, Boston had been struggling for some time, and Subliners did as well. All these teams had been struggling for some time, kind of an odd grouping, but I like London to beat Subliners here. I'm going to put my faith in them and have them carry into the grand finals versus Faze. And here we are. We've got Faze and London in the grand finals. Kind of an odd grand finals. If you'd have told me a month ago that this was going to happen, I would have been like, yeah, Faze is there, but London, that's odd. You guys know I've had faith in London all year. Alfie, if you're watching, I'm sorry for what I'm potentially maybe about to do to London, because I think this is Faze's tournament. Going to give Faze the 5 maps. I think I'm going to give Ravens 3. I think that they are going to play it very competitive. Don't know what maps they're going to win. I tend to favor Faze once again in the, like I said before, I tend to favor them in the controls, in the searches, but think the hard points are more of a toss-up. I think London probably win a couple hard points and find a way to win one of their map, and they get 3. I do think there's a recipe for success against them because Faze may have a little bit of a mental block in grand finals this year. I think people that are saying that overall they just have a mental block in finals is wild. I mean, these are 3 2-time world champions and a 1-time world champion in Cellium. These guys are clearly not scared of the big stage. They also have all won other tournaments outside of just champs, so these guys definitely not guys that are like scared of some big stage and bright lights. These are all guys that can play under pressure. We know this I truly believe that the London guys are all guys that can play under pressure as well, but I think it's just Faze. I think it's their time. I think it's finally, they've gotten 3 second places. I think it's finally their time to get a win and head into champs as kind of the big dog with a lot of confidence. Like I said, though, I do believe there's a way for London to win this because Faze has potentially, maybe a mental block. I said I don't believe they do, but, could get into their head a little bit. If London come out and punch them in the mouth and win a dominant map 1 or get like a 2-0 series lead, could creep into the back of their mind, their subconscious, so that Faze is like, man, we're down 2-0 in another finals. Like we just can't win a finals this year, and could be a little bit of a mental thing for them. But I do have the faith in Faze to bounce back and finally get their first win here. And it's a great tournament for London if they're able to get to second place, because that would obviously solidify them as a 3rd seed. I don't know that they can jump to the 2nd seed over Optic. I'm not sure about that, but that would for sure obviously solidify them as at least the 3rd seed, and they'd have a good momentum going into champs if they're able to finish top 2 with their best placing of the year. But I am going to go Faze in this one, 5-3. Not much else to talk about for this episode. I kind of want to go back. If I had to pick a team from losers to be my dark horse, I am going to pick Optic. I think it's, to me, between Optic or Surge, because I don't think Gorillas or Paris have much of a chance to make a run. I'm going to pick Optic probably as my team to make a dark horse run. I could see a way that they find themselves in Elimination round 3, beating like a Ravens if they're down here. And then from there on out, if they get to play like Breach, I think they could easily make a run to top 3. To me, though, I also think Surge could be that team. I think Surge and Optic are going to play in this Elimination round 2, and whatever team wins this one right here, as long as it's Surge and Optic, I think that's the team that has the potential to make that run out of losers. If I had to pick a dark horse team out of winners, being like that, it can't be like Ravens or like a Faze, one of those top seeds. I think I would like to go with like I don't know if I want to go with Ultra, because I feel like no matter what, they're going to get beat by Faze, who always beats them in that round 2. But I think if I had to go with like a dark horse team to make a run further than I thought, I would maybe say the winner of this Breach Florida match. I think that there's a good chance Florida wins it, and I think Subliners or Røkkr, whoever wins, is a vulnerable team because they haven't had much success on land this year. I think that the winner of this Breach Florida could make a sneak run to winners finals. So those are kind of the dark horse teams I'm looking at, but that's really going to do it for this one. Pretty much a whole episode dedicated to the bracket like we always do for these. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Going to mention it one more time. We're like 4 or 5 subs away from 500. That'd be a huge milestone to hit. I greatly appreciate it. If you guys are watching the video, listening to the podcast here, and you're not subscribed, or you're listening on the audio platforms right now, head on over to YouTube. Drop a sub on there. I greatly appreciate the support, because hitting 500 would be a crazy milestone at the end of Major 4. If we head into champs with 500 subs, that'd be a pretty crazy milestone that I could have never imagined. So I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you are on the audio platforms, if you could also support on there, drop a like, drop a review, drop a 5-star review if you're able. That'd be greatly appreciated. Drop a follow on there. Like I said, I know I've said it a bunch of times and I always say it, but I really appreciate your guys' support. It's helped me really get through the season as we do our final prediction for any regular season or tournaments. It's just champs predictions left. We're gonna have like the video of the player tier rankings heading into champs, and then probably a bunch of off-season videos, maybe looking to do some new stuff for the off-season as it really gets tough and dry for content there for a few months. But you guys know how much I really, really, really appreciate your support. It means the world to me that we're potentially about to hit 500 subs. I know we're not there yet, but we're so close. So if we do end up getting there, I thank you guys so much. If not, I still thank you for the support. It's been crazy. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoy Major 4, and I look forward to talking about it and then discussing champs and some player tier rankings. So thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said, we'll see you in the next one.